Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, distinguished guests, my name is Haukur Hardarson and I'm the founder of chairman of Arctic Green Energy, an Icelandic geothermal company and innovator. Today I will talk to you about the power of the Earth's energy, geothermal energy, and how it has transformed the lives of people in China, in Iceland, and its potential elsewhere, such as along Belt and Road, in Western Europe and the Middle East. In China, our cooperation with Sinopec, a joint venture called Sinopec Green Energy, has risen to prominence and become the world's fastest growing and largest geothermal district heating company. The world's biggest energy challenge is the heating and cooling of our cities. This is commonly done through the burning of fossil fuels. Intermittent renewables such as solar and wind cannot really contribute too much to this problem because there is no batteries that are big enough to handle a whole town or a city. As the Icelanders have proven over many decades, and our work here in China with our partners at Sinopec, the best answer to the problem of heating cities is the direct use of geothermal energy, a renewable baseload and profitable alternative to the highly damaging fossil fuels. Here are some interesting statistics. 70% of all energy used around the world is used by cities. 60% of the world's population will live in cities by 2030. That is 5 billion people that will be living in cities by 2030. Now, what is a very interesting statistic to add to this is that of all the energy that is generated around the world, half of it is destined to become heat, and most of that heat is for heating and cooling of our cities. The world has developed fast over the last few decades. Billions of people have been lifted out of poverty, have access to medical care, education, and overall improvement of quality of life. However, the rapid development has come at a price. As a result, we have what we call suffering cities, and you can see some photographs from winter days in Asia, and this is a picture that's all too common around the world. And just want to emphasize that the most of the pollution you see is actually from people trying to stay warm. And the cost is not only environmental. As President Oliver mentioned, 7 million people are estimated to have died attributable to air pollution last year. And 9 out of 10 children are breathing air that's considered to be unhealthy by the World Health Organization. And social cost, the World Bank estimates that the social welfare cost attributable to air pollution has exceeded $5 trillion US a year. So these numbers are on a very steep rise. People are dying around the world just from burning fossil fuels to stay warm or comfortable, because heating is actually cooling as well. There is, however, a solution that can tackle this problem, a solution that can take down the smoke-spewing chimneys. An answer that is renewable while our inner sun, the core of the Earth, is hot. It's baseload, it's on 24 hours a day, doesn't need any batteries. It is profitable without subsidies. We can take on the fossil fuels without subsidies. This answer is the direct use of geothermal energy for heating and cooling cities. And this is not a theory. This has been proven over decades in Iceland and through our work here in China with Sinopec, where we are already working across 60 cities and countries all over China. What is interesting is that the higher quality of life that people get for changing to geothermal, the improved health and the restored environment that result from changing the energy source from fossil fuel to geothermal comes free of charge, because it's actually cheaper for the consumer to use the geothermal energy. Now, how do we do it? How do we create living, breathing cities that are heated and cooled with geothermal energy? In the beginning, we have a suffering city. Then we go to work we replace the heat source from one neighborhood to the next, and in a few years' time, the suffering city has become a healthy, living, breathing city. Some people see natural gas as an alternative. Natural gas is at best a transition energy. It's less damaging than coal, and the pollution is less visible. But it's still an environmentally damaging fossil fuels with dangerous methane emissions. A question I always get is, how much geothermal is there? Can anybody do this? The truthful answer is, we don't know how much geothermal there is, but we know there is a lot of it. Scientists from MIT issued a report a few years ago where they estimated that the energy content of the geothermal in just the top 10 kilometers of the Earth's crust is at least 50,000 times the energy content of all the world's fossil fuels. So there is a lot of it. We just haven't located all of it. And this is what we like to see. This is what geothermal can accomplish. These are cities that have been transformed by geothermal heating. Our joint venture with Sinopec, an excellent cooperation, we started in 2006, and we've been profitable since 2009, which is actually kind of rare for a clean energy company. This joint venture is not only the world's largest geothermal district heating company, it's also the fastest growing. And our work is a national showcase here in China, and the company is highly awarded. However, Sinopec Green Energy is not only an important showcase for China, but also for Europe, for the countries along Belt and Road in the Middle East, where, of course, in the Middle East we would apply cooling instead of heating. Sinopec Green Energy is fast becoming a global showcase of the Sino-Icelandic leadership in geothermal. What started as an Icelandic success story has become a Chinese one and will become a global success story. Out of these 60 cities that we are working in across China, I'm very proud to be working in Xun'an new area. Xun'an is said to be not only the most sophisticated city on Earth, but we believe it will become the geothermal capital of Asia, a showcase for all of Asia, and with a special relationship to Iceland. And finally, I just want to talk about the future. The Sino-Icelandic cooperation in geothermal has a bright future. The countries along Belt and Road, the countries in Western Europe, Middle East, they all have excellent low-temperature geothermal resources that can be developed in the same manner we have done here in China with Sinopec. At Arctic Green Energy, we have started a number of projects, such as in Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, and in Europe. And we are, of course, eager to invite our partners from China to join us in these projects. The Sino-Icelandic cooperation is not only about commercial ventures. Today, we are signing an agreement where we are bringing geothermal education at university level from Iceland to China. The potential in both China and elsewhere is enormous. Taking on the cities one by one, changing the energy source from fossil fuels to geothermal to heat them, can become the biggest infrastructure project the world has known. One of the most impressive projects today is perhaps Belt and Road. Changing the energy source of the cities along Belt and Road will become the greatest infrastructure project in Belt and Road. And the same thing applies for Europe and Middle East. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present our work. And I hope to see all of you using geothermal energy in the future. Thank you.